So how should I have increased my rates on those clients? Now I'm going to walk you through 5 key steps in how to increase rates on existing clients and what you should be doing and what I should have done. Okay, number 1, I should have come up with a list of 2 to 3 things that I would offer that I didn't offer before with the same amount of hours. In other words, I'm still going to put in this amount of hours, but I'm going to offer this much more within those hours. It's kind of a thing. And I would have told them about my services and how I'm improving them and how I'm also improving the results you're going to get from my services, so that the increased return outweighs the cost. Number 2, you don't have to tell them your budget and prove to them that you have more expenses to account for. They know that you're running a business and you have expenses to account for. You don't have to say, hey, so I'm spending $50 a month on video editing software, and like don't itemize your budget to show them that you need to charge, because then it just makes it look like you're trying too hard to convince them that you're a business owner. You don't need to itemize your budget to prove to them that you need to raise your rates so you can stay in business. You just need to tell them, literally just focus on the value you're offering them, and what they're going to get in return for them paying you more, because they already know that you have overhead expenses to account for, because they're a business owner. They have overhead expenses to account for, and so that's obvious to them. Now, number 3 is don't focus so much on how you're increasing your hourly rate. Merge it into a weekly rate and then project for them what they could get in return by paying you a higher weekly rate, even though it's still based on hours. So if you're putting in 5 hours a week for a client and you're charging $50 an hour, and then that's $250 a week. So you would say, okay, right now you're paying me about $250 per week. This is what I am accomplishing for you every week. Now I'm going to be charging you about $350 per week, but now I'm going to do this, this, and this for you, which will likely get you $600 in return for the $350 you invested. And so now you're rather than focusing on the hourly rate, and then you can tell them I'm still charging by the hour, but you're immediately switching into talking about what the weekly rate is going to be, and you're going to pitch that against the return that you expect them to get because of your rate increase. So they see, oh, okay, you're raising it a bit, but I'm actually going to get more in return to compensate for it. And it's easier for them to see that when you multiply your hourly rate into a weekly rate or even a project rate, even if you're charging hourly. Merging that together really helps. Step number 4 is to tell them that you understand that I know budgeting in business can be difficult, and I know a rate increase can put some pressure on what you need to do with your budget to be able to afford that. And just know that if my rate increase makes it so that we can't continue working together, I'll help find somebody to replace me. I'd love to continue working with you. And at this point, you've already explained to them the return, that what extra value you're offering them to compensate for your rate increase. But you've already explained that to them, so they already know what they're going to get in addition. They already know what increase they're going to get in results from you raising your rate. But now you're just showing them that you understand that it does put pressure on them and it is uncomfortable for them to have to rework their budget, so that you understand that you're a business owner too, and you just understand that it does cause some stress for them. And number 5 is overall show them that the rate increase will benefit their business and not just be an annoying expense. I know that's more of a vague tip and it kind of links to the other ones, but overall just focus on the benefit that your increase is going to be to their business rather than the increased expense. Don't talk about your increased expenses. Don't talk about the benefit that it's going to be to their business. And so even though these are 5 separate tips I shared, really it all kind of sums up into one tip, which is communicate to them the extra value you're going to offer and what extra results they're going to get, what return on their investment they're going to get that is bigger than what they got before, that is far outweighs the increase that you're giving in your rate. That's really the one tip. I just kind of hit it from 5 different angles so that you can understand it fully. So there are some other ideas as well on how you can approach this that may involve a restructuring of how you work. That rather than just increasing your hourly rate and keeping your hours the same, you can increase your hourly rate, decrease your hours, and restructure your business a bit. And let me explain. So for me, I got to a point where I had to find another freelancer to take on some of my easier tasks, where they were fine to charge a lower rate because maybe they weren't running a full-time business, they were doing it on the side, or they're much younger and they don't have a family to support. And so they're in a position where they're still learning some things. And so they're okay to charge a lower rate than I was charging. And they're also in a position where they can easily take on some of the easier tasks that I've been doing, so I can focus on some more higher level strategy activities for my clients. And so, for example, instead of me billing 5 hours a week for a client, I would drop it down to 3 hours per week for a client, increase my hourly rate, but then find another freelancer to basically be my assistant that will take on the tasks that was taking me that additional 2 hours per week. And so what I do is I say, hey, I have this guy I work with. He's another freelancer who specializes in this, and he can take over these few tasks at 2 hours a week, and I'll take over these tasks for this many hours per week. You'll pay him directly, you'll pay me directly, but I'll manage him, and I'll be the one kind of managing him and communicating with him. So because it can be overwhelming for them if they feel like they have to deal with a bunch of different people. If all they're doing is paying somebody else, then that takes very little time. But if they know that I'm going to be the one managing his projects, I'm going to be the one communicating with him for my client, and I'm still the only point of contact with my client for all the work we're doing, it still makes it a very easy flow. And all they have to do is just pay the guy directly. And so, for example, I was doing a mix of editing videos and marketing strategy when I was transitioning from video editing into video marketing. I was still doing some editing. And I noticed that a lot of businesses weren't willing to pay over a certain amount for just editing, but they were okay to pay me maybe $60 an hour to edit and do marketing stuff. And so what I did at one point, I'm like, okay, well, I want to raise my rates from 50 to 60 and then 60 to 75. And each time I would raise my rate, I decided to just restructure instead. So let's do some math. So in my situation, I initially charged $50 per hour for marketing and editing. And with one client, that's about 5 hours per week, to be a total of $250 to that client. Then when I found an assistant, they took 3 hours away from me from the editing, and they charged $30 per hour for editing alone. I raised my rate to $75 per hour, so that's $90 total per week billed from my assistant to my client, and only $150 per week billed from me to my client. So that's $240 total to my client per week, and previously it was $250 total. So it's actually a few dollars less. So I jumped from 50 to 75 per hour, and my client's actually saving $10 a week. Super easy to pitch that to a client than to pitch, hey, I'm raising my rate from 50 to 75, and I'm still billing you 5 hours a week. That's going to take a lot more effort to really tell them what value you're offering that's going to be different, because if you do it like this, you don't really need to put a ton of effort into listing all these things you're going to offer beyond what you were before. You can just literally say, I'm going to keep offering you the same results I've been offering you, but I'm restructuring things so that I can focus more on just these higher level marketing activities, which will likely get you some better results so that I'm not distracted by these other things. And so and then it's just a really quick thing. I still tell them that it will help me to get them more results, but I don't have to spend so much time giving them numbers and all of these projections on how much I expect them to get in return, because I'm not increasing their expense. Overall, they're spending the exact same amount per week, if not a little bit less. And so that actually is a really good strategy that helps you raise your rates without having to put a ton of effort into convincing them to pay you more, because they're actually paying the same overall. But it causes you to have to go get new clients, right? Because you have to fill in those hours you just lost. And that's why you learn how to enroll. And that's why you've had the other modules to help you learn how to enroll new clients. So it's up to you as a solopreneur to keep figuring out how you can focus in what you're doing with your time for your clients, and how can you be more efficient with your time so that you can charge more, and at the same time grow your business, but also give more to your clients, because you are bringing in other people onto your team and restructuring. Always be thinking about how you can evolve and offer more and more value to your client for either the same amount of money or less, and you're going to keep them very happy. So there are the strategies. Those are some strategies for how to raise your rates on existing clients without ending the relationship, and with keeping good rapport with them. And like I said, for some clients, you will outgrow them. And it's okay to end the relationship, and that may still happen even when you've communicated to your best ability and tried to raise a rate on an existing client. There still may be those that it's no longer a good fit. And then at least you know you did your best, and you know that it wasn't your fault for not communicating the value properly. You know that it was just you outgrew them and it was no longer a good fit. Hopefully this was helpful to you, so that when you do have long-term clients that you need to raise your rates on, it will make it a much smoother process for you. Have a good day.